Hey everybody, this is Jim with Harvest Harmonics, and I want to welcome you here to the Profitable Farmer, where we show you how to maximize your profits as a farmer so that you can put more money in your pocket and keep it there, right? So today's episode, I really just want to talk about one thing. Okay. If you've watched this show before, you may have seen that I obviously promote our Kiminasi plant booster because it is the future of farming. It is a giant leap forward in terms of technology for farming, and it's producing amazing results. Okay, I'm just gonna preface everything I'm about to discuss with you with of course that yes, we still market and promote our Kiminasi plant booster as the next generation of agriculture because everything that our technology does improves quality, quantity, soil health, plant health, and reduces petrochemical usage. Now, today's episode, I want to talk about fertilizer, right? And part of the reason why I wanted to talk about fertilizer today is because I actually had a conversation last week with a farmer who says, I really want your product. I really want to jump on board. I really want to use your Kiminasi plant booster, but I can't afford it because the cost of fertilizer just skyrocketed and it's basically taking all my money. Okay. On the one hand, I mean, first of all, that breaks my heart. I want to improve my situation, but I can't because my existing methods of doing business, my existing methods of farming prevent me from having enough extra money to be able to invest in my farm to make it better and more efficient. I mean, that's ultimately what that translates to. And it's, of course, very sad because we've all been there at some point, right? Where we're looking at, we see this amazing opportunity that comes our way. And for whatever reason, we are not ready for it, or we're not in a position where we can take advantage of it because something that are doing presently or we're doing in the past has put us in a situation where we're not prepared to take advantage of these opportunities. So I don't want that to happen to anybody who's listening or watching the show. I want people who are watching this to have the opportunity to invest in their farm and continue to expand, continue to make your farm better and better and better on an ongoing basis. So having said that, I want to talk about fertilizer. So the reason why I'm talking about fertilizer, because if you haven't already known, anybody's in agriculture probably already knows this, but the cost of fertilizer has been skyrocketing. And I'm not talking about going up a little bit or everything with inflation has been going up. I'm talking about skyrocketing. And it's caused by a number of different factors. Of course, the cost of inflation, the general cost of inflation by Biden and other people just handing out money to everybody indiscriminately, and I don't even think that's the problem. I think it's spending money on all their pet projects that comes with that. But in any case, I'm not going to get political here. But by creating this inflation problem, it actually causes the cost of everything to go up. So that's a part of the situation with fertilizer, right? The bigger chunk of it started last year, and it started with transportation costs because as our resources of oil were altered or shifted from the United States to back to foreign oil, the cost of oil started going up again. And this started happening maybe toward the second half of last year. And as we all know now, if you've looked at the gas prices, which of course everybody has, we see that the cost of gas is skyrocketed. Here in the United States, it's gone up at least $1, maybe $1.50 a gallon here, even $2 a gallon in some places. So the cost of gas is going up. So what happens when the cost of fuel goes up? Okay, you have to think about everything is going to go up. Everything is going to increase in price when the cost of fuel goes up because no matter what you're buying, whether you're buying a little mouse here or you're buying 15 tons of fertilizer for your farm, that that product has to get from the manufacturer or the storage facility to the location where it's going, right? And the cost of fuel to get it there is it has increased substantially, and that's going to drive up the price. Now, I want to share with you my screen, and I want to show you. This is not my presentation, but I want to show. Um, this is the DTN, the Omaha retail fertilizer trends, and I want to pinpoint this. I'm just going to actually blow this up a little bit and show you this graph here. Now, this little green line here, first of all, what this tracks is the cost of fertilizer, the cost of retail fertilizers over the last few years. Now, if you pay attention to these lines, and I don't know if I can blow this up here. Maybe I can blow it up a little further. I don't know. See if I can. Let me see if I can increase this zoom rating so we can see it a little better. There we go. That should hopefully help. So Except all cookies. Yeah, fine. Okay, so the different lines here represent different, cost patterns. So this little dotted line along the bottom you see here, right, where my cursor is going, that's the 5-year average. Okay, the 5-year cost of average per ton of fertilizer was averaging between $250 and $300 per ton. Right, that's the average. Now, in 2020, which is 2 years ago, this is that purple line. This is what the cost of fertilizer was in 2020. And you see it went from around 230 a ton down to a low of roughly 200 and maybe 10 a ton, right? Now let's look at 2021. This is last year. The cost of fertilizer started in January, again, about 210 a ton, and it started going up. It was up to 250 a ton by just March. Had a huge increase in price in March and went up to 350. That was a huge increase. It started climbing just a little slowly, and then in October, again back in last year in October, you see it was at $375 a ton, and now, literally 3 months later, in the beginning of this year, it was over $575 a ton, and now here we are in February, end of February, and it's over $600 a ton. And this is on the average. By the way, I just saw reports that that nitrogen or ammonia, anhydrous ammonium, which is basically what they use for corn and our staple crops, is up to $1,350 a ton. Now, why am I telling you all this doom and gloom and bad news? I'm telling you all this because if you guys are locked into the existing system and you guys are locked into the idea that you have to continue just dump more fertilizer, more fertilizer, more fertilizer, more fertilizer to continue to drive yield. I've been telling you for months now, if you've been watching my show, that that is a dwindling spiral. You're going to have to continue to add more and more and more and more, and you're going to get less and less and less out of it. Why? Because the plants in the existing petrochemical system is only able to absorb so much of that nitrogen or so much of those inputs, right? And so if it only absorbs 20% of what you're using on your field, that means you're wasting 80% of what you're spending on inputs. And to make that matters worse, it's a dwindling spiral, meaning the more fertilizers, especially chemically based fertilizers that you're using, you're killing the microbial activity and the biological life in the soil, and you're making it that much harder for the plants to get the nitrogen they need, because those soil-borne bacteria and the soil-borne microbes are actually converting a lot of that atmospheric nitrogen and other forms of nitrogen into forms that the plants can use. And if those microbes are dead or dormant, then that they're not doing their job, which, guess what? That means you have to add more nitrogen to your soil. So it's a losing battle that you're fighting. And hey, I get it. You're thinking to yourself, I have to get my yield up. I have to keep my yield up to feed my family. And I'm telling you, you have to really look at this. You have to look at how long are you going to continue to feed this beast that's killing you, right? And the reason why I've been preaching the Kemonoxy plant booster for so long, and the reason why people I think are finally starting to wake up to this, to our system, is because our system is making the plant more efficient at utilizing and absorbing the nutrients that you're using. So again, imagine if $1,350 a ton. If I can save you 30% of your fertilizer costs you've paid for my system just by reduction of fertilizer. And if I can increase your yield and quality of yield on top of that, then I'm making you a ton of money. And that's really where the profitability of the Kemonoxy plant booster comes in. But I want you to understand that playing the petrochemical game is ultimately a losing battle. And I'm saying this from a standpoint of I care about my farmers and I want you guys to succeed. And you're not going to succeed for as long as you continue to play the game of add more nutrients, add more nutrients, add more nutrients, because the plants can only absorb so much as it is. The rest of those nutrients are leaching out of the soil into the waterways. They're evaporating back into the environment and into the air. They're causing greenhouse gases. And ultimately, that's money that's not going in your pocketbook. That's money that's just flying out of your pocketbook at record speed. And so when we look at this, we have to understand, how do we actually break free of this? It's sort of like if I'm gonna use an economic analogy, right? So if you are, let's say you're in debt, right, and then you're not making enough money to pay your bills, and so what do? You get a credit card, right, and then you go into further debt to pay your bills so you can keep the lights on, right? But you're not addressing the actual cause of that situation, which is not making enough money. And so you have to take on more debt and more debt and more debt. And eventually that debt gets to become more than you can handle, and you wind up filing for bankruptcy. This happens all over the place. Well, with farming, if you are not getting more and more yield for that extra spend of inputs, then you're going to run into the same situation where you're going to have so much money invested in inputs that you almost can't afford to farm anymore, because the amount of money that you're going to make based upon the current values is not going to generate enough to pay off those input costs. And I'm not even saying this to be mean to the petrochemical industry necessarily, or the fertilizer industry, right? They're trying to make a living like everybody else, but the way this situation is, the way the world is now, the cost of transporting that fertilizer is exponentially higher. And so now you have to factor in that to your cost. And so now all of a sudden, what was a cheap fertilizer compared to Kiminasi is now getting way more expensive than Kiminasi, and it's producing much less gain. So the system that we have will help you benefit that, because it's going to reduce the need for fertilizer, because the plants are going to get more efficient. In fact, what we've noticed is farms that use less fertilizer inputs, that less chemicals and less fertilizers, are getting more of a bang for their buck with Kiminasi than the other plants that are using petrochemicals. We just wrapped up a study in South America where we showed I think it was a 100%, maybe it was a 70 to 100% increase in overall yield on an organic farm. And we have another study that's still ongoing where we have 14 and a half foot tall corn plants on our test field versus 6 foot tall corn plants on control. So just imagine you're getting twice the yield, twice the number of ears, twice the fodder, twice the forage, and you're using this with less chemicals and less inputs. I mean, at the end of the day, even when the cost of inputs goes back down again, if it stabilizes, then you're still going to have a system that's making your soil healthier, the plants healthier, the plants more productive, and you're not going to need to tie to handcuff yourself to these, to these fertilizer companies, and most of these guys that sell it, I'm sure, are good guys, but at the end of the day, you have to make a living and you want to be profitable. So I'm trying to tell you, if you want to be a profitable farmer, you need to take advantage of situations that are going to make your farm more efficient and utilizing the inputs that you're using, so you don't have to keep adding more, adding more, adding more, adding more, and you'll actually end up getting more with adding less. And that's what the Kiminasi plant booster system is all about. Um, so I really just want to go over that. And oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, and I don't want to add more fuel to this dumpster fire that is our economy right now, but the war in Russia, Russia attacking Ukraine. There's been reports that that Russia is actually planning to suspend exports of fertilizers, especially potash and other types of fertilizers, and so where they're exporting a lot of fertilizers into the European Union and other places, they're talking about actually stopping those exports. So imagine if your supply of potash or supply of those needed nutrients dries up because of geopolitical problems, right? That has nothing to do with you or your farm or even your country necessarily. That could negatively affect you as a farmer. And if you don't take proactive measurements to make your plant, make your farm as efficient as possible, then you could wind up being, behind the eight ball. And I don't want that for anybody. So, um, having said that, what questions do you have that we can answer for you? So I have a few things here. I want to just go over here. I've my question is the frequencies in the water. I've read about the technology. The frequencies in the water are maintained for how long? Good question. So our system is designed to last for 2 years. The first time you install it and run irrigation through it, the system will be good for 2 years, and then it would be replaced. So it operates almost like an input, even though it's using a radio wave frequency stimulation as opposed to a chemical or physical substance, right? The frequencies themselves, every time you irrigate, they will last for about a week. So you would irrigate maybe once a week, and you'll get the maximum benefit from our technology. Stay informed. Okay, good. So most of these rest are comments. So again, guys, if you're watching this on Facebook, you're watching this on YouTube, watching this on Twitter, and you have questions, and you don't have to, not everybody gets to see this live, and I get that. If you have questions, put them in the comments anyway. We'd love to answer them for you and get back with you. If you have specific things you want to, get a quote for your farm or find out more about this specifically and do one-on-one consultations, you can email us at service@harvestharmonics.com, and we'd be happy to go over your farm and your situation, your economic situation, and how we can best help you to turn the corner and really make your farm healthy and profitable again. Now, if you're wondering how much money you can actually make with Kiminasi Plant Booster, we've had a number of farmers tell us that they're making 12,000 an acre, 20,000 an acre, 17,000 an acre. I mean, these are actually top line revenue numbers. So when you can increase yields by 60, 70, 100%, 40%, 30%, 25%, depending on the crop you have, I mean, that can translate into a lot of money for a very little investment of cost. And when you can also factor in a reduction of input costs, especially when input costs right now we're at $1,400 per ton. Imagine if you can reduce that by a whole ton per acre. If you're using 5 tons an acre, imagine if you can reduce that to 4 tons an acre. Just that fact alone is going to not only pay for our complete system, it's going to make you a giant amount of revenue and produce a better quality product for your consumers. That's going to make you feel better because you're producing a better quality product as well. So that's another one. So another question is, do I have to install the tech on all my farmer? Can I try and just, yeah, the question is, can I do a trial? Yes, of course. We have trial devices that last, that can be like less than an acre, all the way up to systems that can handle 150 to 200 acres in one system. So we can handle anything in between. So it really depends on, if you want to try it out and see the results first and you're not willing to invest that much, that's totally fine. Just see it work on your farm. Once you're ready, once you see the results and you're ready to move forward, we're happy to work with you. On the other hand, if you're like, hey, I want to maximize my return on investment, I want to maximize the amount of money I can make, I want to maximize and reduce my input costs as much as humanly possible, I want to take advantage of a bigger system, then of course we can take care of you there too. What about a drip system? Same results again over irrigation. Yeah, we can work on any type of irrigation, just so you know. It's not limited to drip irrigation or flood or anything like that. We have it on pivots, we have it on drip, we have it on overheads, we have it on flood irrigation. We can work with anything there. So really no limitation there. That's about really all I see here, guys. Again, if you want more information, just go to our website at harvestharmonics.com. You can check out our case studies. You can check out our science videos and description of the scientific basis for our technology and why it works so well and why it's producing such amazing results. And otherwise, just give us a call too at 727-324-6750 here in the United States. You can also hit us up on WhatsApp at 727-225-2790. That's our WhatsApp number. And I'd be happy to work with you and consult with you one-on-one to help you on your farm. Just to let you know also, guys, we work all around the world. We have about 30 countries right now already on board, with more and more countries coming on all the time. So we can service anywhere in the world. So if you have a farm and you're wanting this information, but you're thinking to yourself, I'm not in the United States, that's not really a problem either. We can ship it anywhere around the world. And that's about it. So really, guys, that's all I got today. I wanted just to go over this with you because I think it's an important topic. I think, when I talk to farmers, their first thing is input cost. They don't want to increase their input costs. And I'm telling them, look, you need to decrease your input costs, but the only way you can do that without losing production and losing revenue is by making those plants super efficient so that they can produce the maximum yield and the best quality yield with the minimum amount of inputs. And that's the ultimate driver of profitability. It's not just added yield and it's not just reducing input cost. It's that combination of both of those factors together that's going to really make you more money and make you a profitable farmer. And that's, of course, what we're all about. So give us a call or send us an email or go to our website and fill out a request for quote form. We want to work with you. We want to help you become part of the future of farming today with the Kiminasi Plant Booster. Hopefully we hear from you soon, and we'll see you again tomorrow.